little crooked there. I think I fixed it. I think it's right. Let's see. There we go. I like to give you a look of the flag. I like that. This is Gary. Gabbin with Gary here. I appreciate you coming in. Uh, it's awesome that you're out here. And, thank you for making it here on February 21st. We're going to check out a video today. I thought we should watch the town hall together, and we can figure out what's going on with dipshit, and we'll go from there. Hope you enjoy the show. Let's get the popcorn ready. I feel like my volume is low. Huh? All right, let's bring it up. I appreciate again everybody here, which is a big crowd again today. Crowd of none. All right. Able to pull this up. Wake up right all of a sudden. There we go. Sure don't need a lot of light, gotta tell you. Do that every time. So we're gonna catch the beginning of this. We'll be stopping and checking in with these people. People, they're not people. They're morons. But we're gonna watch it anyways. We should see what's going on with the morons.
Ingram, and this is the Ingram Angle. Welcome to Greenville, South Carolina. We have an amazing crowd tonight, and we're just 4 days out. I can't believe it.
That's awesome that you mentioned her crowd. Because not this was let me get to the right. Screen share, MPC. We'll share this. Gotta look up this real fast. And attendance is going to be Trump Town Hall. You're going to be surprised because, huge town hall. It's always huge. You can see here right away. It's, let me show a different screen. We're going to see this one. Share that. And so here, you can see right here, we have Trump's answers, few audience questions. We'll bring this up for a second. Here it is. Here we go. They had 400 to 500 people were in attendance. Only three audience members at the Trump Town Hall asked questions. And why did he only take 3? And when you go to a town hall, you expect to have the people attending asking the questions. Let's see how that goes. Doesn't look good because we already know it's 3 people.
From South Carolina GOP primary, where 50 delegates are at stake in the march to the nomination. That former 2-term South Carolina governor is poised to lose by a wide margin, but she remained defiant earlier today. We're going to hit all of this and more with the man of the hour. Joining me now, Donald J. Trump.
We're going to just skip through this a little bit.
She's not working. She's here. She's down by 30, 35 points. And everybody knows her. You're not supposed to lose your home state. Shouldn't happen anyway. And she's losing it big. I mean, really, I said bigly and bigly. She's losing it bigly, but we're gonna really do a job. I think that, as you know, when we went to Iowa, we got the biggest margin in the history of the caucus, the biggest. That's a long time.
Why do you think she's staying in the race?
I don't think she knows how to get out, actually. I really don't. She did terribly in New Hampshire. She got the only vote she got was from Democrats.
But she has a lot of money behind her. What do they?
Look, she doesn't know how to get out of the race if she wanted to. She's being sent millions of dollars. She's going to hold in to the very end. Let's see how this goes.
They're trying to hurt me because of the general election. So the Democrats are giving her money, and she's playing into the game. And I think she just can't get herself to get out. She's doing poorly in the votes. Look, if she was doing well, I'd understand it. But she's doing very poorly. She lost in record numbers in Iowa, record numbers in New Hampshire, Nevada. No name beat. No name. We had no name.
Well, she and Biden have like almost, in a way, some would say team up together. They're Biden's people to say, look, if you're going to complain about age, Trump's demeanor, Trump makes mistakes, forgets names. She's trying to equate Biden's decline, which is fairly obvious, with you for being, 77.
Well, he's declined, and there's no question about it. But he was always sort of semi-declined. If you go back 25 years, no, but he was not one of the smarter people. He's tried to be president many times, 4 times at
Not
least.
the
That they know.
smarter people.
And all of a sudden, when he's most diminished, this is when he hit, and he did it. But if you look at me, I feel, and I really mean this, and I would tell you, and I think you tell me too, because we've known each other a long time. If I felt diminished, okay, let's use a nice term. If I felt diminished or declined anyway, I think I'd know it. And I think I'd say, I'm not running. Somebody should talk to him. But if he runs, he runs. He doesn't seem to be. I heard you say that he's very persistent, and he probably is. I think most
Stubborn.
people. I think that most people that run would be stubborn or persistent, and just not want to give up the ghost. But we have a nation to run. We have a nation that has to survive. We have nuclear weapons, and the likes of which, and you don't even want to know about it, the most powerful weapons in the history of the world, so powerful that you don't even want to talk about them. And we have him negotiating for us. And in his best years, he couldn't have negotiated well. Now he has no clue what's happening. And I know Putin very well. And
he knows Putin very well because of those backroom conversations, the conversations on the phone, the diplomats in the White House, as without any American people, it was terrible. How do you have, and a Russian journalist, so they get it first. We heard about it from the Russian journalist, okay? This guy couldn't be more of a POS, in my opinion. He can't stop taking down our nation. What is wrong with him?
And I know President Xi of China. I know them all. Kim Jong-un, I know very well. I did a great job with him.
Do you think they'd prefer him to remain as president because they believe that they can dominate the global, the global situation much easier with him in office?
Well, they want him very badly to be president. I mean, I'm sure a lot of money is being spent on between Russia and China. No question with China, Russia too. Look. Ukraine would have never happened. I know Putin so well, and it was the apple.
So, wait, he's saying Biden is getting money from China and Russia and that they want him to stay in. What is wrong with this guy? He only says stuff like that when he does it. So it's almost like he can't help tell the truth. When he puts it on somebody else, what he's really doing is telling you this is what he's already doing. All right? That's how stupid he is.
Apple of his eye. Ukraine was the apple of his eye. I said, don't ever do it. It would have never happened, by the way.
We're going to get into that in a minute. But back to Biden and his current state, whatever you want to call it. Will you challenge him to regular debates, regardless of the concern about the moderators? I know that's always annoying, but I'll be happy to moderate one, by the way. Would you challenge him? Come on, Joe, you can do it. You challenge him to a debate regularly on focus specific topics. In other words, so it's not a wide-ranging, just one debate on foreign policy.
Well, I'll do it right now on your show. I'll challenge him right now, and we can do you can do anybody you want. I'll take anybody from CNN, which is doing very poorly in the ratings, by the way, as you probably know. I'll take anybody, because I think you have an obligation in this case. You really have an obligation to debate. When it came to the Republicans, I was up by 40, 50, 60 points. Like being up on her.
Anybody.
I think a poll just came out. I'm at 91 and she's at 7. And would you debate? You want to be smart. You don't have to waste your time doing
so. But that would be instructive to see you versus Biden on any given topic.
Regardless of poll numbers. I'm way up on him now in the polls. And frankly, I think we have an obligation. When you have the final Republican, the final Democrat, you have the two people you have to debate regardless of.
How many debates would you commit to?
As many as necessary. I would like to do it starting now. I don't think he's going to debate, though. I really don't think so. I mean, we had a debate where he, at the end of the debate,
What is wrong
he
with this guy?
admitted I was right about almost everything, but in particular on energy. Do you remember I said, I feel like Perry Mason, the way you
I
just
want to say,
collapsed?
stand back
And he
and
admitted
stand
everything
by.
about energy, and that's what actually happened, and that's why your energy costs went up 3 and 4 times. I mean, we had $1.87, and he was up to $5, $6, $7, and that's going to happen immediately after the election. Let's not even talk about if he wins. We can't allow it to win. We're not going to have a country left.
He
That's
talks
going to
about
be, you will have
gas.
energy costs, and this whole concept of
Like,
all electric, everybody
look,
having an electric
$5.
vehicle,
These
they don't go
guys are
far.
nuts.
People don't want that. They want everything. They may want electric, but they also want other choices.
Do you
Hybrid.
believe the push to control gas stoves, how far you could drive by forcing people into electric
terrible.
vehicles, all the new edicts that they really want to push out? What's really behind that? Do you believe there's a bigger agenda to kind of control movement, control people's freedom of movement?
Well, a lot of people said that. I'm not sure. I just think they maybe are just mixed up or confused. They come out with faucets where no water comes out. If you go and buy a home,
Yeah.
and
No
they know what I
faucets.
mean. The showers,
water.
you stand under a shower and
What
there's
the-
no
what the
water
hell?
coming,
There's
and
no
you're saying
water.
you
I have to
end up
wash my hair
standing
for
there
30
5 times
minutes
longer.
to get the little
But they
bit
want that.
out.
They want the
Well, they're
dishwashers to
doing
be
everything.
changed. All of that is part of the agenda.
So in Ohio, you have a great company that came to me, a dishwasher company, one of the
yeah,
biggest
yeah.
and finest companies, but they were going out of
Big
business. They
company,
said,
the
we're not allowed to
dishwasher.
use
We have to
water.
wash our dishes
And they
like
also had a
20
problem with South
times
Korea,
before
was
they
making
get
washing
clean,
machines,
sir. You
dishwashers,
have to
and
help
other
us with
things,
the water.
and dumping them into our country. I put tariffs on them, 50% tariffs, and I saved that company. Now it's a thriving company. But what's happening between other countries coming in free, you can't go into those countries, but they can come.
The only thing that's thriving here is the bullshit that comes out of this guy's mouth.
To us, we can go into China and pay $100 tariff on a car. They used to come in here. Now I put a 27.5% tariff on cars.
That's the only reason their EVs are not swamping the United
we
States.
would
They're all
be
over
dead.
Mexico right now. The EV market is being cornered by China around the globe.
We would be dead if I didn't put that tariff on. I was going to raise it to 50%. It's 27.5. Otherwise, you'd have everybody would be dealing, not even a car they liked, but they'd be dumping them into our country. So what's happening now is China is going to Mexico and building massive automobile plants, and they think they're going to come in and just sell those cars from Mexico without a tariff into our
Will
country.
that happen under Biden if he actually won a second term? Do you think your tariffs would be pulled off?
Well, he can't do it now because it's so much money we're taking in. We took in $450 billion with my tariffs from China.
I actually don't know the numbers. I wish I did, because I have a feeling that he's full of shit on these numbers as well, because he's full of shit on everything.
One other president took in 10 cents. If I didn't do what I did with tariffs to China, I don't even think we'd be sitting here right now.
Yeah,
was so,
But he left a lot of them in place. He hasn't removed those.
wasn't
Do you
he
think
can't
for second
because
term-
economically he
We
can't
should
be
bow
because
down
of
to
the
this
budget.
guy.
would
This is-
he-
that's
I
what
think
he
he'd remove
wants.
them.
What do you think Hunter Biden did or promised or winked about to get
Okay.
that money that he got? He's
Hunter
obviously
Biden
not a
did
financial
Well,
nothing.
from many,
It's done
many
and
locations. I
over
mean,
with. He
from
keeps on
Ukraine, it was
dragging
crazy
it
because
on
he was
like
on the board.
30,000
He was paid $183,000 a month. He got $3 million up
It's
front, according to
bullshit.
what I read.
They
But they
had
say
an
Joe Biden, there's no evidence that Joe
FBI
Biden received
that was
any
brought in
financial
with-
benefit
for
personally. And to that you
talking
said?
with
Well, he's got a
Russia
lot of
over
houses all
this.
over the place,
It's
and he's
their
never been
own
paid more than
propaganda that
about
he was telling
$179,000,
our
I guess, is the
senators.
top.
But our
Look,
senators are so stupid.
he's gotten a lot of money.
They just
Hunter's gotten a
flew
lot
with
of
it.
money. Hunter
But
gets millions of dollars just for
here we
sitting on
are
a board,
finding
an
out
energy
that he
board,
lied the
and he
whole
admits that he
time,
knows
this
nothing about
ex-FBI
energy.
agent.
Why do you think Joe Biden was able to raise $42 million in January? He's just headed out to California. He'll be at the home of Haim Saban. You know him
Yeah,
as a big
sure.
pro-Israel.
He got that money because there's going to be so many Democrats being put up, and that money gets to be shared with all of them. Okay, like the RNC, but the RNC's money evidently just went all to Trump and his kids and lawyers. Absolutely millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars they paid in lawyer fees so far. And by the way, that's your money. That's the money that you donated to this dipshit.
A benefactor, multi-billionaire. Why are the billionaires rallying to Joe Biden?
Well, look, they like me too. They made more money with me than they ever made
the
before.
billionaires
Why are they
Always in a
love me.
positive. I'll tell you, the ones that I love are the ones that pay me on average $61, and I'm raising millions and millions of dollars. And some of them do it every single month. That's the one. Because they're globalists and they want to just take over this country. They're globalists. They represent China. They have a lot of money in China. You know, China is very smart. They have all of these guys locked up. And, you know, if you go to China, they want you to build a car plant. If you build cars, if you make cars, they don't want you to build cars here. They want you to make cars, but they want you to make them in China. They don't want you to make them here. There's so much money that is tied up in China and some of these other countries. You know, everybody mentions China. The European Union is a disaster. Before she left, before she destroyed Germany, and she did a bad number in Germany, I will tell you. And I liked her. Maybe that's why, because I'm for here. I'm for here, and they're for their country. And they are for their country, and I don't blame them for being. But I said, Angela, how many Chevrolets do we have in the middle of Munich? She said, why? I don't believe any. I said, that's right, Angela. That's not fair. We're going to change it because they have Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen. They have all of BMW.
They protect their industry.
They protect it, and they protect it from farm products. They protect it from everything. It's so unfair. I had that all changed around, all good. And then these guys come in and they destroy our country again. But there's no greater destruction than what's happening at our border, where they're letting millions and millions.
Okay, the border. He doesn't want anything done to the border. We've already discussed that. He's told what? Mike Johnson, don't do anything, because we already know if that bill makes it to the floor, it would pass. It's already set up. It's already passed by 72 to 47, I believe, or 27 in the Senate. It will just pour over and no problem, but they will not bring it to the floor. Trump doesn't want it on the floor, and now he's talking bullshit about the border. Here we have an actual bill that they've haven't been able to do for decades, and it's a good, strong bill, you know, to work off of, and they won't even put it on the floor because this dipshit wants to see how far we can go.
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that next block. So up next, the issue at the top of the mind, as the former President Trump just said, the border and what illegal immigration is doing to the country that we love. More with Donald Trump from Greenville, South Carolina.
So this is just a conversation.
Welcome back to Greenville, South Carolina, where folks have been waiting since very this morning to see former President Donald Trump. Now, Mr. President, one of the questions we've been hearing from voters here is, how do you plan to deport the millions of people? I mean, there's probably 12, 13 million people under Biden alone that have come here. And how will it work?
Okay. It's going to work that we get the bad ones out first. They're coming in from prisons. They're coming in from jails and mental institutions.
How will you find them?
Fight through local police. Look, the local police, they're so phenomenal. I love them. They love me. I think I have 97% support.
You know, I love his cologne. Eau de toilette is literally
came up with this one. Migrant crime. There's crime. There's violent crime. There's migrant crime. We have a new category of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's going to be worse than any other form of crime. You look at New York City. What's going on where they attack police? They want to fight police officers. Our criminals don't even do that so much. Okay, I've never seen they're having fistfights with the police officers in the middle of the street. And We have to do something about it. These are tough people. Don't forget, they're not sending their finest. I know all the leaders of the South American.
Well, they really hit you when you said that in 2015. You said they're sending it.
Matter.
And,
yeah.
and now, all
took
these
a lot
years
of-
later,
everything turned out to be right.
well, CBC
These
is
are
telling
people
us that
who are trying to get out of the worst of the worst. They're trying to
Customs and
better
Border
themselves.
Patrol announced
There's always going to
yesterday
be a
that
few
just in
bad
3
ones.
days,
We always have a few bad ones.
452
But these
Chinese
people
nationals
killed.
have
They're
been
not even
apprehended
being
by
able
Border
to
Patrol. And Mr. President,
I'm not a
20,000
huge
Chinese
way of
have
migration,
entered since
but
October.
These people can't stay in their own
this is.
place.
Does this concern you more than other immigrant groups?
Probably it would, because it's China, and maybe what are they building an army in between? It was 29,000 people in the last year. Think of it, 29,000 people, and most of those people were young, male, fighting age. Okay, so
What's going on?
look, you want to give the benefit of the doubt, but China was number one. And you look at Yemen, now they're coming in, we're bombing. Here we go again with this guy bombing everything, gets no respect. He bombs and bombs and bombing Yemen.
Well, they're bombing
and we
us.
have a lot of
Houthi rebels.
Yemenis are
Okay. No respect, and we keep on bombing. These are people who killed our American soldiers. He doesn't even give a shit. Remember, they're suckers and losers.
coming into our country. We have people coming in from everywhere. They're coming in from the Congo. They interviewed some people last night. Where are you from? Congo. Where did you live? Prison.
You know,
They're emptying out their
This is
prisons
what we're
into
doing
What's the
with
first thing
Trump.
you will do if you become president again on the border? I know
Well,
that's going to be your first
There's
act.
two things I'm going to do. Number one is drill, baby, drill. And
You
the
know,
other thing, equal.
we need to support Ukraine.
is
We need
we're
to get a
going
bill out
to
there
look.
that's
I had
gonna
the
support
safest
Ukraine,
border in
not-
the history of our country, recorded history, because
Not
I
this
can't tell
guy.
you about
This
1,000
guy's a
years
piece of
ago,
shit.
but recorded
He's gonna
history of the
let
world by
Russia,
far. We had it down pat
Iran,
between guys like Tom Homan and Brandon Judd and unbelievable
North
people that you
Korea.
have on your show. We had a great. All Biden had to
Just
do was
run
stay at
all
the
over
beach. You know,
everybody,
he goes
do
to the
whatever they
beach.
want.
Somebody said
There's gonna
he looks
be
great in a bathing
no
suit,
more
so he goes to the
secure
beach. If
world.
he went to the beach and didn't do it, but he canceled
Backing
everything.
out of
Remain
NATO.
in Mexico, catch
Or,
and
you know,
release. We have catch and
their
release,
fair
but we had
share,
release
pay
in
the fair
Mexico.
Why were you
share.
against the
thing
House,
is, see, they're
against
supposed to
the
put
Senate
up 2%.
border deal,
And
the bipartisan
all
border?
that
There were
money stays with
5,000
them.
people
They're
a
just
week,
putting
but a
up
lot
for
of people took it
defense.
as
A day.
5,000
Okay, they're
people a
adding
day.
every
They
year
said
2%.
5,000 people a week, and you read it, and it
So
says
that
5,000
they're
people
ready,
a day. Number one, that,
as a
but it also
defense
made
and
it made it
offense
much
from Russia,
better for
okay?
the opposing side. Meaning
Regularize,
They don't give
manage
us
the
money.
crisis.
you
didn't
couldn't
solve it.
manage it. It was so complex. You're talking about, first of all, if you want to close the border, you're president. I didn't have any legislation. I had people opposed to me very strongly, including Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan and Nancy Pelosi. That was a
They closed the border, okay? He's such a bullshitter. Oh, and his miles and hundreds of miles of fence, remember, is only 50 miles. And those 50 miles, a lot of them are breaking already.
little triumvirate. And what I did after a year, I said, you know what, these people, I took the money out. We built 571 miles of border wall, and that's what made our border so good.
571 miles.
Did another thing. I got 28,000.
Remember, it was just, I believe, 51 miles. How does he get 10 times that amount? He 50. There's nothing that comes out of this guy's mouth that's not a lie. He could tell you his birth date, and that would probably be a lie.
Soldiers from Mexico. I sent to the president of Mexico, who I really like a lot. I think he's a terrific
like
guy.
him.
He's a socialist, but a terrific guy, and he's fantastic, actually, in a lot of ways. I said, we need 28,000 soldiers to guard our border. He said, you got to be kidding.
Well, Biden
I
says
ended up getting, free of charge, 28,000. We had the safest border we've ever had. Now, we have the most unsafe, we have the worst border in the
So not
history of the
true.
world. There's never been a border of any country anywhere in the world
This is
that's
not
been
true.
like
Biden
This is
has
just a
announced, well, they've
bunch of-
hinted that
bunch
he's
of
going to
lies
come out with a
spreading.
border
Look it
executive
up. Don't
order
believe the
on the
lies.
border to clamp down on illegal immigration before the State of the Union message. I thought he said he didn't have the executive authority.
So I do believe that he's baked in. I don't think he can ever even come close unless people are really stupid, which they're not. The public is much smarter than the politicians. He's not going to be able to change. He's not going to be able
he can't be talking about our country because the Republicans are effing stupid. They're effing stupid.
To change that. He's destroyed our country. This guy is destroying our country.
Speaking of that, how are you going to make sure that mail-in ballots and voter fraud, which we heard from a lot of people in line, was an issue front and center? They're very concerned about mail-in voting. So forget the past. What are you going to do to make sure we don't have problems going forward?
If you have
RNC?
mail-in,
First off, the Republicans were all behind mail-in ballots. Okay, they didn't mind that before. They actually were for it, not until this guy. Okay, think about that.
voting, you automatically have fraud. If you have
Okay, well, there's
I don't
mail-in
care.
voting in Florida,
That's
and you
right.
won huge.
That's right.
Yeah,
If you
mail-in
have it, you're
voting,
going to
fraud,
have
fraud.
fraud.
Let's get rid of that.
You don't have any. When you go into a voting place, like you go into one in a properly run state, they look at you,
With the
you give voter ID, you give all sorts of identification. I mean, it would be very hard to cheat in a mass scale. When you send out millions, like
Alaska.
California, I think they send out 36 million ballots. They don't have a voting booth in the whole place. And then millions of ballots come back. Nobody knows where they're coming from.
Right, but what are you going to do about it?
The way you win is by swamping them. The way you win is by swamping them. You got to have, and we're going to swamp. I'll tell you what, I did great in the first election. I did much better in the second.
We have
I hate to
interesting
tell
news
you.
coming out of New York, by the way, the New York poll that just
Good.
came out, which we're going to get to. But Mr. President, Kelly is in the audience and has a question about
first
foreign
question.
aid. Kelly.
How you doing, Mr. President?
Hi, Kelly.
One of the
Mr.
many great
President.
things you did in your first term was put America first. One of the
Right.
many great things you
Mr.
did.
Bullshitter.
That isn't the case in the last few years, which is evident with the unnecessary billions of dollars in foreign aid we have given specifically to Ukraine. So what is going to be the solution to fix all of that spending?
Thank you very much, Kelly. Appreciate it. I like that question. I like this guy. I can
How
tell.
we going to help Ukraine, right? What are we going to do with that money? There we go.
He's a man of common sense. I'm a man of common sense. You know, they say you're conservative, you're
No
liberal, you're
common
this, you're
sense.
that. No, we're people of common sense. We need borders. We don't want to give foreign aid to countries that hate us. I mean, we're giving foreign aid to countries that hate us. If you look at the numbers in terms of the billions and even trillions of dollars that we give to foreign aid, and yet we don't protect our own border. We don't protect our own military.
Okay,
We
we
have the
protect
greatest,
our
I knocked out
military.
ISIS. Everyone said it would take 4
and we
years. It took
protect
me
our
3
borders.
months to knock out, totally decimate ISIS. We took out Soleimani. We took out al-Baghdadi. We did a job like nobody's ever done.
So you wouldn't be in favor of giving $60 billion more for Ukraine? Because they said without that money, Ukraine will definitely lose the war, which would then empower Vladimir Putin and endanger
I feel so
our
bad.
allies.
And I guess the thing that bothers me most, it would have never happened if I were president.
Oh, it did happen.
Never
So what are you
happened.
going to do about it?
But it would have never happened. Putin would have never done it for 2 reasons. Number one,
Because
I said,
he would have
don't do
listened
it.
to him.
He would
Putin-
never have done it.
Putin
And the
would have
other reason
listened to
was
him.
oil
His
prices were
lapdog
low.
would
At
listen to him.
$40 a barrel,
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
What would you
At
do now?
$100 a barrel, he made a fortune during this war. So what I would do is, first thing I get on the phone is with the European nations who are in for 25% of what we're in. We're in for over $200 billion. They're in for $35
We
billion.
spent about $100 billion so far, but it will be 160.
It's a difference of $150 billion. They've got to start paying up. You know, it affects them much more than it affects us. We have an ocean in between us. They don't have that ocean in between. They have to start paying up. And you know why they haven't paid? Because nobody asked them. Biden doesn't call. Does
Again,
Biden lie
they don't
awake at
pay
night, sleeping,
anybody.
cursing?
They
He
put
turns
their
for another
2%
reason, not for the reason we're talking
into
about.
their
Sweating,
defense.
saying, we got to get more. We've got to get them to pay up, because there's $150 billion difference. I feel very bad. Remember this.
I feel
You're
bad.
really up against a war machine in Russia. Russia, what they do? They defeated Hitler. They defeated Poland. You know, they're a war machine. They're a much bigger country. Orban, who I think is a fantastic
he's
guy. A
talking
lot of
very
people don't
good
like
of
him because he's a little bit on
these
the tough side.
dictators.
He is
And
the
he doesn't
Prime
talk
Minister of
good of
Hungary.
America.
And he said, and he came out very strongly, they asked him, what's going on? The whole world is collapsing. He said, if the United States elects Donald Trump, it'll all end. Everybody was afraid of Donald Trump. It'll all end. And I believe that's true.
Nancy,
The world
your-
will end. That's right. If
your
we
good
elect
friend,
Donald Trump
your
now.
very good friend Nancy Pelosi was on MSNBC earlier today with your other good friends. accusing you of something which took my breath away. Watch.
What does he have on Donald Trump that he have to
What does
constantly
Putin
be
have on
catering
Donald
to
Trump that
Putin,
Donald Trump
telling
is a
Putin,
little
go into
bitch?
these countries, NATO countries. I think it's probably financial.
Absolutely financial.
Your
Plus
response,
something
you
else,
said
I'm
you're going to
sure.
abandon NATO and Putin has something on you.
So I know the real Nancy Pelosi. She's highly overrated. Let me just tell you about Nancy. I went in. It's all sound bites. You know, with them, it's all
You know, I'm sorry. This guy doesn't have an ounce of humanity. Like, even Pelosi is a much better person than he is. It's ridiculous.
misinformation. Everything is dis and mis. Little difference. Dis and misinformation. I went in, got in, and I stopped Nord Stream 2. Most people don't know what that's the
Putin.
Russian pipeline. The most important
passing off
economic
Putin,
deal
whatever
plus.
Putin tells
I
me
call it
right here.
economic plus, much more than economic. Ever. I stopped it. I
these
told
are-
Germany you're not having it. I
these
told
are
all of Europe you're not having it.
Russia's
Anybody that
talking
wants
points.
to have it,
These
they're
are
not dealing with
Vlad's
you. I
talking
ended
points.
it. That's the biggest deal ever in the history of Russia. They are going to supply Europe with oil and gas. I ended it. Biden comes in and he vetoed what I had done. It was done. Nord Stream 2 was done, and he approved it. But he ended the Keystone pipeline, which is our pipeline, which should have been approved.
Now,
When people
That's not
say that
true.
about Russia, and Putin would even say to me, he said, you treat us very bad. I had sanctions on Russia
you
that
treat
nobody's
me
ever
very
put there
badly,
before. In
he
fact,
says.
Biden took them off. It's just misinformation. Anybody that walked in and ended, and remember this, Putin took land from every president of our last 5, except for one, me. And now he's going for the big one. He's going for all of Ukraine.
No.
He's going for all of Ukraine, not just a little piece.
Now-
He's going for all, and that's under Biden.
People around the world are expressing outrage over the death of Alexei Navalny, of course, in a horrific Russian prison. You posted on Truth Social about it. You said that his death made you more aware of the political circumstances here at home.
It's happening here.
Specifically your rivals. I want to give you the chance to expand on that
here.
because obviously your opponents have used that to say, again,
such a
pro-Putin,
martyr.
don't care about human rights or freedom, the freedom movement. And so what does that mean when you said it made you
Here's
more
a
aware
person
of your
that
circumstances
owes-
here?
Navalny is a very sad
$500
situation,
million.
and he's very
This
brave. He
guy
was a very
is for
brave guy because he
sale
went back. He
to
could have stayed
whoever
away.
gives him a
And
dollar,
frankly, probably would have
okay?
been a lot better off staying away and talking from outside of the country as opposed to having to go back in because people thought that could happen, and it did happen.
If he thought
And it's
he
a
could
horrible
make
thing.
$100
But
million,
it's happening in
he
our
would get
country
on his
too.
knees to do it,
We are turning
my
into
opinion.
a communist country in many ways. And if you look at it, I'm the leading candidate. I get indicted. I never heard of being indicted before. I got indicted 4 times. I have 8 or 9 trials, all because of the fact that and you know this, all because of the fact that I'm in politics.
Now,
they indicted
he
me on things that are so
stole documents.
ridiculous.
He stole
Fanny
nuclear
in
codes,
Atlanta.
by God.
We'll get into that. We're going to get into that in a moment. But we're going to get into my favorite DA in a moment. But do you see yourself as a potential political prisoner in the United States? Because that's
here
their
he
goal
is,
is to
a
put you
political
in jail
prisoner.
behind your bars, wait for the rest of your life.
If I
You
were
see that?
losing in the polls, they wouldn't even be talking about me, and I wouldn't have had any legal fees.
If you had retired from politics, would all these
If
cases?
I were out, I think, although they hate me so much, I think if I got out there still, let's pursue this guy. We can't stand this guy. Look, I won an election that wasn't supposed to be winnable. I then did much better the second time. I won't get into it, but I did
What
because
second
of Fox.
time?
But I did a much better job
What
the second time. We got
second time?
millions and millions of more votes the second time. And now we're doing much better than we did the second time and the first time, almost put together.
He's-
Are you a
he's on-
potential
what is he on
political
his
prisoner,
third
sir?
one?
Well, I think because of the fact that I'm doing so well, that I'm beating Biden at a level that they've never seen before. This is
Everything
not supposed to
is
happen.
never
You know, it's
seen
much
before.
easier for a Democrat to run. Much easier than
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We have a lot more on this and on this topic and a lot more Fannie Willis
we're
and some of the
lucky
other
they're taking a
legal
break.
challenges the president faces. Stay with us. All right, Mr. President, the crowd's going crazy here, but during this campaign, a huge amount of your time has been spent in court, in the courtroom in New York and
huge
so forth.
amount of time,
Now, in this
because
New York
he's
civil
guilty.
fraud case, this Judge Arthur Engeron ruled against you
This guy
for
again,
almost
is gonna be
$500 million
by any country
plus
who gives them
interest that
$1.
runs every day. When I first read this, like $87,000 a day. How would you put up that kind of money? Because you have a bond to put up. Even if you appeal, you got to put up escrow money. That's it's a lot of
It is
dough.
a form of Navalny. It is a form of
Navalny.
communism or fascism. The guy's a nut job.
Look, this
I've
guy
known this for a
is
long
sick.
time, and
If
I've
he
said it
just
openly.
compared himself
No jury,
to
no
Navalny.
anything. Letitia James is horrible attorney general in New York, campaigned on I will get Trump, I will get Trump. We went through a trial.
and he's
It
guilty.
turned out we're totally
Remember,
innocent on
he's
everything.
guilty.
And he fined me $355 million plus
He didn't
interest and other
fine
things.
you. That was the money that you're going to give back
And what
for
we did, in fact,
stealing.
my financial statements were conservative. Everybody made money. There was no victim. The bank gets up and says, "We love this guy." I mean, they
victim
love
paid
are the
back the
people who
loans.
couldn't borrow the
100%.
money
No
anymore.
defaults, no anything. The bank asked me to, banks lend money. That's how they make money. They
Yeah,
asked me, would I
they
borrow
came
some
to
money?
him,
They asked
"Please
me.
borrow
I didn't need the
money
money. I had a
from
lot
me
of cash.
again."
And what happens is this guy ruled that I was guilty before the trial started. He didn't even know anything about it. He ruled that a house in Florida called Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million when it's worth from 50 to 100 times that.
Would you give up one of your
It's
properties
not.
to
He's
to
the one
settle
who
this?
had
Look, we have.
the
No, I wrote this
paperwork
out
that
because
shows.
it was so great. I just looked at it. People call up, all of your friends, the lawyers call up. They say it's the most egregious punishment anybody's ever seen. Tim Scott knows
Egregious.
that. He sees it.
He's
The
never
Eighth
had
Amendment.
any
Excessive
punishment.
bail shall not be
Yes, he's
required,
always
nor
gotten out of
excessive fines
everything.
imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. That's the Eighth Amendment. Excessive fines.
This is a state court
I have
ruling.
a fine.
Yeah.
I did business with a bank and insurance companies that loved me.
Oh, yeah.
They still do
The
business
insurance
with me.
companies,
They wouldn't do
because
business with me.
He
But you have
claimed
the
so
practical. You're
much,
a
and they
practical
had
man.
to
You have
pay
a
out
practical
so
question, which
much. Of
I
course
thought about a lot last night
he
because
loves
it's
them
such
more
a
than
huge
they
amount of
love
money.
him.
You have to decide whether you're going to put up that bond and escrow
I do.
to appeal. Are you going to do that? And where are you
I'll
going
tell
to get
you
the
what
money?
we're going to do. Number one, well, I have a lot of cash, but that doesn't mean he can take it. I mean, you know what he did? I think he looked at my cash and he said, well, we'll take all of his cash. This is all coming out of the White House. This is everything that you see, whether it's that one or the DA.
think
You know, in
Biden
the
is
DA's
coordinating
office
this?
in Bragg's
Did you hear that? Is Biden coordinating all this? What the hell is wrong with her? And she's a smart lady.
office, he has his top people from the DOJ working in the district attorney's office in New York. Nobody knows that. Everything is coming out. This is all
No,
election
yeah.
interference.
The feds,
They're
it's all
trying to
feds
damage
and
me so they
everything.
can win another
This
election.
guy-
They want to do.
Do you ever just
a
say?
different
Do you ever just say to yourself, I'm done. This is what they. Why? A lot of people would have said, I'm going to come out. Why are you staying in this?
I can't because I want to make America great again. It's not great right now, and we can do that. We can do that. Laura, we can do it. We can get it fixed. It's harder now. It would have been so much easier if we just finished off that. Everything would have been so perfect. We had the border set. Everything was set to rock and roll. We had no.
So you feel like you have an obligation to America
do.
because it's all coming in on you now.
If I
From
didn't-
criminal to
If
civil
I
to
didn't
the
run,
money.
I get everything. I become an expert at law. If I didn't run, I wouldn't have any of these lawsuits. You know that. None of them. They would have
all
gone
of
on
a
to the
sudden,
next.
He's
And
an amazing guy.
look, Nikki has no chance. But if she ever did, they would go after her the same way. These are vicious people. These are vicious, sick people. They're sick. And this judge is sick. He got overturned on this case so far, overturned by the appellate division 4 times already on this case.
Do you expect the
So-
Supreme Court's going to overturn this? You're going to have to preserve your federal claim here below. So you're going to have to say we have a constitutional claim here
guy-
against this excessive fine. And so there are constitutional hurdles you're going to have to cross. Are you going to expect the Supreme Court would interfere in a state court decision?
I've never seen such support on a decision before. Truckers, everybody, they're saying, we're not going to deal in New York. People are leaving New York. I've never seen support like this. I think
guy,
there's a lot of
no one's
pressure
leaving. No
on
one's
the court
running out in
system of New
droves.
York to do what's right. You borrow a small amount of money by comparison. You pay it back. The bank is in love with you.
Again,
and by the way, this is a time, and a lot
by
of the
him
audience
doing
does not.
what he did,
Banks are doing
he
very badly with
cheated
commercial loans. They're
people
not
out of
getting their money
loans.
back. They're in default. Everything. This was a perfect loan. I did a favor to this bank.
Yeah,
I borrowed money. I
it's
paid it
all
back.
about
It was
him
already
being
done. Just one
just
second. I
effing
listen to, I
awesome.
pay it
He's
back.
just
And
an
then
amazing person.
this guy
every day of his
uses
life.
this.
He
They
is
come, it was
the
just a
biggest
weapon.
liar
They come after me
that
and they
we got
charge
to
me
see.
many
We're
times the
watching
money
him
that you're
now
talking
in real
about.
time,
$355
lying
million
to you.
fine for a perfect loan. Where the bank was happy, the insurance companies, everybody's happy.
And went over the same shit again.
In his statement, he said Trump did nothing
Said
wrong.
he didn't have any contrition. But Mr. President, Chandra in the audience has a question. Chandra.
This is the
Mr.
second
President,
question out of just three.
our country is so divided right now. I know you have suffered endless attacks, no doubt, but how can you assure independent and undecided voters that your focus as president will be on improving the state of our country and not settling those old scores?
That's an interesting question, I must say. Look, I did it before. We had a great 4 years, especially before that very last part where COVID came in, and we did a great job there. We've been given great marks on the economy and on the military and on foreign.
He just said the best 4 years. I think we lost over 1 million people to COVID that he didn't do anything to. He didn't act. And he was just saying how he is the biggest liar. That's all I can say. He's a piece of shit. And I don't understand how, if you're voting for him, how you can vote for this liar. Remember, this guy owes right now $458 million. And just this guy is an idiot.
Affairs, but never got the credit we should have gotten in that. We did something amazing, and the stock market was higher in the end. But just before the China, I call it the China virus because I like to be accurate, came onto our shores
3 years
We had
later.
the greatest economy in the history of the world, even going up to the end. But this period of time, and it was success. Successful is the word I'm using to answer your question. We had such success in history. Some of your favorite pollsters like
He's not
McLaughlin and
even
Fabrizio.
answering the question.
I met them the day before I heard the word COVID or pandemic, the day before. And we were talking about the next election coming up. They said, sir, if Abraham Lincoln and George Washington came back from the dead, they couldn't beat you. We had the greatest economy ever. And the people, let's call them on the left and far left, were calling me. We want to get together. I've never seen anything like it. I said, do you believe this? Everybody was happy. African American, Asian American, Hispanic American.
We're going to get into that because of your polls are on that.
When you look at the poll numbers today with African American, Hispanic American, we're doing better than any.
But the question about score settling, a lot of women, a lot of women voters, they don't like the name calling. They don't like the score settling. They love your policies, and they just want Trump's policies, maybe not so much of the other stuff. So I think that's what the question, if you don't mind my asking, I think that's what she's getting.
Well, but also you want to say, how do you get together? We're going to get together through success. When the country was at a level that we had the best employment numbers in history. Everything was good. And
his employment numbers are shit. Okay? He's bragging about something that's not even true. I want to quickly show you something about his COVID response. All right, here we go.
So supposing we hit the body, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light. And I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or. in some other way.
we're going to shove a
And
light
I
up
think you
your
said you're gonna
ass.
test that too. Sounds interesting.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out
And then we're going
In
to
a
put
minute.
some bleach in
1
there.
minute. And is there a way we can do something like that?
We could probably
By
use bleach instead of these
injection inside
COVID shots for sure.
Almost
Any-
a cleaning,
Maybe
because you see it gets on the
Lysol
lungs
and,
and it does a tremendous
know,
number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check
and-
it. So that you're gonna have to use medical doctors.
Yeah.
But it sounds,
and we can just
sounds
shove a
interesting to
light
me.
stick up your ass.
so we'll see. But the
and
whole
then you'll get
concept of the
better.
light
This
that
is the
kills it in 1 minute,
suggestions.
that's pretty powerful. I would like you to
You know-
speak to the medical doctor.
This is the suggestions he gave. To get through COVID. Okay. This has got to be the stupidest man on earth. I can't believe that there's another stupider one. And remember, he was voted the worst president ever by professors, scholars, okay? Republicans and Democrats. They voted him last as a president. We'll go back to this. Thank you for helping me watch that. We're going to go back. The town hall.
This country was coming together. Then we got hit with COVID, but this country came together. I don't care about the revenge thing. I know they usually use the word revenge. Will there be revenge? My revenge will be success.
And don't forget, he wants to lock up and send SEAL Team 6 out to execute people who disagree with him.
What is one question you're hoping the Republicans or someone who has some honesty up there will ask Mr. Hur? And should Biden have been charged in the classified documents case?
Yeah.
Well, nobody else has been over the years because, Hillary took a lot and Bill took a lot. Bill took him out in his socks. They call it the socks case, which he won with a very tough judge, which he won. Bush took him, everybody, Reagan took him out, everybody took him out. It only became a big subject when I took things out. The difference is I had what's called the Presidential Records Act. I was allowed to do what I did. Absolutely allowed. That's why they passed the act in 1978. They passed the Presidential Records Act. But you can only use it or be there.
The Presidential Record Act does not say that he could just take whatever the hell he wants when he wants it, or declassify things in his head that really aren't declassified. Okay? Just because he says something doesn't make it true. Okay? Remember that.
If you're president, Biden wasn't president. He was.
Why didn't you just hand him over when they were requested, though? I mean, they requested him. You could have just handed him over. It probably saved yourself a lot of trouble.
First of all, I didn't have to hand him over. But second of all, I would have done that. We were talking, and then all of a sudden they raided Mar-a-Lago. Do you remember? They said, could you put an extra lock on the door? We showed them where they were. We showed them. Unlike being under a Corvette in a little garage with the door open all the time.
A
We had these
POS.
things locked. We were surrounded all the time by many Secret Service
As he was
agents. We had
hiding
Secret
the
Service all over
records,
Mar-a-Lago.
he was
You couldn't take
moving them
anything out.
around.
But what
They're
happened,
all
and when
over
you
the
take a look,
bathrooms,
Biden didn't have the Presidential Records
everywhere.
Act. He's at great jeopardy,
91
really. But they said, look,
Counts against
he's
him.
incompetent to
91.
go to court, but he can be president. Figure that one. In other words, he can't represent himself
we
in
should
court because he's
totally elect
incompetent.
What should Hur
But he
be
can
asked?
president.
What should he be asked?
Well, I just think you have to ask, why did you do it? You didn't have the Presidential Records Act.
I'm
And how
pretty
did you do it
sure
as senator?
they say
Dick Durbin, the senator, said there's no way he did that as senator. And then when he
He
found
was
out,
charged.
it's pretty serious.
All right, we need to take a quick
Rape.
break. When we come back, I'm asking the question everyone wants to know the answer to. More with Donald Trump from Greenville, South Carolina. After this.
Yeah. And Vice
All right, we're
President.
back in Greenville, South Carolina, just 4 days ahead of the GOP primary where President Trump is trouncing Nikki Haley in the polls. You've seen them. I've seen them. But now, Mr. President, I've long said that Republicans should have a no state or city left behind strategy.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan had that strategy in 1980 and 1984. And you told Maria Bartiromo that you may campaign in the Bronx or at Madison Square Garden. When might that be happening?
Very soon. Look, we have
Everybody in New York
9
hates
months
this
yet,
guy. This
but I'm going
is
to
not
see
gonna
about
go
Madison
out there.
Square Garden,
It's
and we're
gonna
going to
be
go to the
another
South
2
Bronx,
weeks
and we're
like
going to
his
go to
health
Queens
plan is
and other
coming up.
areas, because
I'll have
if you
the
look at
health
what's
plan
happened in
for
New
you in
York, I'm
2
not even
weeks.
blaming the mayor. I think
Oh,
the
a
mayor
year
has sort of been
later.
told to
Oh,
take
I'll
a back
have
seat
it
a little
for you
bit
in
because
2
they came
weeks.
after him violently.
Don't
They
you
came
remember
after him
those
like they're
things?
going to indict him when he
This is
started speaking up,
not
and now
too
he's
long
become
ago when he was
quiet.
president.
These are fascists
Well,
we're dealing with. They're
he wasn't
terrible
really
people.
president.
And
But
so I'm not
anyways,
blaming him.
2
I'm just saying we have
weeks.
400,
Don't you remember
500,000
any of that?
migrants, illegal migrants in New York on
He's
Madison
playing you
Avenue.
like
They're
you're an
sleeping on
idiot.
Madison Avenue. They're sleeping on Fifth Avenue. It's horrible what's going on. I think there's a chance to win New York. The people are very, very
He's gonna
unhappy.
The
fix
poll
homelessness.
today that just came out in New York, just to remind everybody, in 2020, Biden beat you by 23 points in New York. But in the latest Siena poll, Biden's only ahead of you by 12 points. And that's with zero Republican presence and, no ads, nothing. Now, you're winning men 47-40 in this poll, but you're upside down with women 54 to 29.
Yeah. I wonder
How
why,
could you
because we
turn
got
that
rid of
around
Roe?
in New York with women voters? Again, many of them love your policies, but maybe some of the
Don't
other
worry.
stuff they don't.
So
I wanna
nationally, we're
start
doing very
telling
well
you,
with
soon we're
women.
gonna take
We're
away the
leading
right for you
Biden
to
by a
vote
lot
too
nationally,
again.
by 12 and
Okay?
14
You
points.
just had that
And we're
right
doing
put
much
in
better.
Well, we're
place
talking
in
about this 50-state
1971,
strategy.
ladies.
I'd like to do
He's
the
gonna
50
take
state.
that away,
I'd like to
too.
focus on
He
it. I
doesn't
wish I
want
had
you
more
doing
confidence in the
anything.
election
It's
and
gonna be
in all of the
1950s
way they
again.
accumulate ballots, to be honest with you, because I think we do very well in California, but not when they send out 36 or 38 million.
But there's real progress in New York. I mean, this is
There's
a
great
significant poll with no Republican advertising. Among Latinos, you're at 41% in New York. Among African Americans, you're at 26%. Those are 40% increases from 2020. So with a little work in a lot of these states, New England has 12 Senate seats.
New
I mean,
York-
I'm from Connecticut. Why is Connecticut down the tubes? Why is Illinois down the tubes? Why is California lost?
New York, New Jersey.
Right.
New Jersey, very strong, a great Trump state. I think we have a chance. If you win
doesn't
any
have
of
a
them, you
chance.
automatically win the election. I mean, you'd win.
It's gonna
Virginia's
be a
another
blue
one.
run
New
all
Mexico,
the way
we
down.
did great in New Mexico. I think we have a really good shot there. Colorado is very interesting because of all this mess where you had this group of people trying to take somebody out of the ballot. They're saying we're doing very well in Colorado. I think we're doing well everywhere, but we're beating him nationally by a lot. In fact, right now we're winning the popular vote by a lot.
When Biden ran, he pledged he was going to pick a female vice president in 2020. What qualities are you looking for in your vice presidential
Someone who'll
pick?
Well,
steal
always
and-
the first
and
quality
lie
has
for
to be
me.
somebody that you think will be a good president, because if something should happen, you have to have somebody that's going to be a great president. A lot of people are talking about that gentleman right over there. And he's been so great. He's been such a great advocate. I have to say, this is in a very positive way. Tim Scott, he has been much better for me than he was for himself.
Tim.
I watched his campaign, and he doesn't like talking about himself, but boy, does he talk about Trump. And I said, I called him.
is
I said, Tim,
another
you're better for me than you
piece
were
of
for yourself.
crap.
But he's fantastic, and he's a fantastic person.
So
I want somebody that can
someone who
sleep
can
at
step into the role.
most
Hey,
importantly, you have to view that.
The audience
Yeah, why
has
did
been
themselves?
asked who they think would be a good choice, and various names came up. One of them was, of course, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yeah.
He's made a big splash. Ron DeSantis, who's making an appearance today in South Carolina, we just found out. Obviously,
he's
Tim
gonna take the
Scott,
heat in his
Byron
own
Donalds,
state.
and
He has to
a
leave.
big
His
presence
own
here
state is
for
falling
Tulsi
apart. He's
Gabbard.
going out doing stuff.
Very interesting. And Kristi Noem as well, I should say.
Right.
Are they all on your short list?
They are.
And when can we expect that you will announce your choice?
The one thing that always surprises me is that the VP choice has absolutely no impact. It's whoever the president is. It just seems. I remember when Sarah Palin was actually picked, and she did have a big up, and then they just went after her at a level that
didn't even
nobody
know
seen.
how
The
to read.
Republicans themselves went after what they did.
But you'll be a one-term president because you've already served, so you can only serve for one term, although they say you'll never leave office. I assume that you'll never leave. There'll never be another
They say,
election
don't
again.
do it. He'll never leave. He's
Yeah.
never going. Oh, these people.
At least they know the truth.
So
He
for that reason,
speaks
it is
the
important
truth.
So,
who you pick.
I think it's very important. But look, first is that, as we said, it has to do with whoever is, it's a very important position for that reason. You would like to get somebody that could help you from the voter standpoint. And honestly, all of those people are good. They're all good. They're all solid. And I always say, I want people with common sense, because there's so many things happening in this country that don't make sense. Who wants an open border? Who wants high interest rates? Who wants all electric vehicles? And they're fine, but you want to have choice. You want to go to combustion. You want to go to any hybrid. I think the hybrid are much better from that standpoint. But we were talking about faucets. We're talking about we're talking about so much. It's all based on common sense. We want a strong military. We want choice in education. We want to have things that can really make our country great again. What we're doing with the open border is a disaster. We are destroying our country. We're going to change that fast, and we're going to get your energy prices down.
Mr. President, thank you so much for this.
Okay.
We really appreciate it for all your time. We'll see you on the campaign trail.
Thank you very much.
That's it for us tonight from Greenville, South Carolina. Thank you for watching.
Well, I appreciate anybody who shows up. Thank you so much for letting me entertain you and come into your home and listen to my ramblings. One day, maybe I'll make it into somebody else's living room with these ramblings. Spread the word. Let everyone know I'm here. I'm a little blue guy in a red state. Doesn't get redder than Wyoming. So keep on watching. Let's see the real blue wave happen. This guy is going to be in jail before they start, even possibly by the time he even is able to start a real campaign. It's a joke. How can you even think of voting for a piece of crap like this? Okay. This is a guy that says that it's okay to grab your pussy. This is a guy who took away people's rights and threw them in jail. This is a person who attacked our Capitol on January 6th and was rooting for it the whole time he was back in the White House. I don't even know how he's even was allowed to go in the White House. I just have so many things rumble through my head. And I just want to tell you, start thinking. Don't vote for this guy. Become an independent. Vote for the people that you really believe in. Let's see a real blue wave all the way down ticket. Let's see some of these shit-ass senators get pushed out. And let's see what we can do. Good luck, America. I hope you're still standing. We'll talk tomorrow about that.